other fighters. It was just one of the coaches. This is a middleweight bout which pits Jack Hermansson, who is 21-6 and is the minus 155 favorite, going up against Edmen Shahbazyan, who is 11-1 and is the plus 130 underdog. What do you see in this matchup?
Yeah, man. This is a great, exciting matchup. But before I break it down, I got a question for you. How many times, over under, let's say 3, do you think the commentators mentioned Ronda Rousey?
A couple of times.
Of course, right? Because as we know, Shahbazyan trained with Ronda when he was like 15 years old. But we know that's going to happen. But with this fight, this is a fight that I don't see going to decision. There's 19 knockout victories between these two guys, 8 submission victories, with Jack Hermansson having 7 of those. And both of these guys are super explosive and super exciting. Hermansson's 3-2 in his last 5. Same thing with Shahbazyan's 4-1 in his last 5. The competition on Hermansson's side is much higher, going up against Vettori, Gastelum, Cannonier, Jacare, and David Branch back to back, right? Whereas with Shahbazyan, he's had wars. He's had Stewart, Bird, Marshman, Brad Tavares, and Derek Brunson. And in that Derek Brunson fight, we saw that once he gets out of the first round, it's trouble. And you and I were kind of prefacing this before we went on. This is a first round fight for Shahbazyan. If he wins, it's the first round. After that, he's going to get into deep water. And as we kind of see the level of competition increasing for Edmen, we see that the experience hasn't quite caught up yet. And that's no knock to Shahbazyan. He's an explosive, amazing fighter. I enjoy watching all of his fights. That fight against Brad Tavares, who's a warrior, he knocked him out with a head kick. So you know how explosive he is. The way I look at it is you have Hermansson, the vet, who's got a 3.5-inch reach advantage, 4.5 leg reach advantage, and he throws more and absorbs less. He throws 4.9 shots per fight or per minute and absorbs only 1.7, whereas Shahbazyan throws 3.2 and absorbs 4.4. So if Hermansson's going to throw, the numbers say that Hermansson's going to hit him with every punch per minute. You know what I mean? I know that's not the case, but just the numbers kind of match up. They both like the takedown. Hermansson goes for about 2 per 15 minutes. Shahbazyan goes for 4.5 per 2 minutes or 15 minutes. And their takedown defense is okay. 73 for Hermansson, 58 for Shahbazyan. So the way I see it, if Hermansson wants to win, which he does, he's got to keep the fight standing. Wear down Shahbazyan and then shoot for the takedown. Take advantage of that gas tank. With Shahbazyan, he needs to wear down Jack's legs. He's got to hit calf kicks so he can't get those takedowns, because if Jack gets it to the ground, it's more than likely going to be a submission victory for Hermansson. He's got to stuff the takedowns, and he's got to keep Jack's back to the cage and then shoot for his own takedown that he likes to do. If you can negate that takedown, have him against the cage, he's going to be a little bit better off. But the way I see this is, at first I had unanimous decision for Hermansson.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not going 15 minutes. There's no way this fight goes 15 minutes with 19 KO victories, right? I'm going second round sub, Jack Hermansson, and I'm going with his guillotine. He's got a great guillotine where he traps the arm and then he chokes you out with it, and you kind of freeze. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, for the viewers, go back and watch the David Branch fight. Yeah. David Branch is no slouch. BJJ black belt, right? Great on the ground. As soon as Hermansson got that arm, put him in the choke, he froze. And he couldn't move, he couldn't pass the knee. He just froze, and he had to tap out. So I'm going to go with that. I think he's going to replicate that with Shahbazyan, the golden boy.
Yeah. As you see here, the last 5 fights for Hermansson, he beat David Branch by submission. He beat Ronaldo Souza by decision. He lost to Jared Cannonier by KO. He beat Kelvin Gastelum by submission. Yeah. And he lost to Marvin Vettori by decision. He's from Sweden, but he fights out of Oslo, Norway. He's 32 years old, 185 pounds. He is 6'1", and then he has a 77.5 reach, and he fights out of Frontline Academy. Whereas Shahbazyan he beat Darren Stewart by decision split. He beat Charles Bird by KO.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Jack Marshman by submission. Beat Brad Tavares by KO. And then last fight, he lost to Derek Brunson by ground and pound KO. He fights out of Glendale, California. He's 23 years old, so he's on the young side. So he's he's still a young pup, even though he's in the top 10.
Yeah, they threw him to the Sharks early.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like Tavares and then Brunson. Like that's a big jump.
Yeah, he's 185 pounds. He's 6'2", 74 reach, and then he fights out of Glendale Fight Club. So he's no slouch in himself.
Not at all.
But to me, with this fight, you got Hermansson, who is above average grappler. He loves the ground and pound. So I think he might try and go on the ground and then try and do a little bit of that.
Okay.
You could see him using the wrestle and the wear down Edmen, because as you know, Edmen, his one knock is he puts a lot into the first round. He has a lot of stoppages in the first round. And once he gets out of it, he tends to get very tired right away. If you saw the Derek Brunson fight, that's what happened. Like he put a lot into the first round, then he got tired, and then Brunson took advantage with his wrestling and then just wore him down to the point where he had nothing left. Hermansson's cardio is pretty solid. He moves well. His game plan should be let Edmen dictate the fight and just counter the striking that Edmen's going to do at him. It causes chaos by hitting shots. He causes chaos by hitting shots to the body and then attacking with his grappler. And like you said, he has pretty good submission game in itself. So whereas Shahbazyan is a striker, he wants to stay on his feet. He goes for the knockout. He has 9 in his career. Like I said before, his cardio is his Achilles here. He puts too much into the first round, which he needs to improve upon, because as a fighter, you can't rely on just knocking guys out in the first round. You kind of have to test yourself in fights to see if you can go longer into fights, because at some point you're going to have to go the distance, and you kind of want to test yourself within that. And at first I was thinking I'm going to go Shahbazyan by knockout, because like you said, maybe Hermansson should fight standing up. But then I'm like, maybe it's his best bet to avoid the striking of Edmen, and what he can do to do that is to take Shahbazyan down, hold him down, like move between guard and half guard, and then just wear him out that way, and then see if he can go for a submission. And then once round one's done, you know that maybe Shahbazyan will be worn out a little bit from having to press and having to fight out of that position. And then it can go for the knockout, because I don't think it's going the distance. I don't. I think it's going to be, for me, I think it's going to be a round 2 knockout by Hermansson.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
On the ground, because he doesn't have that great of a power standing up. But then when he gets into the ground and pound, he tends to get a lot of knockouts that way. Like
he's long.
Yeah, he's long.
So he uses those elbows to his advantage. So
I think he's going to get it by a second round knockout.
Nice. I said keep it standing for Hermansson. I still think that if he can keep it standing to kind of let Edmen wear himself down, and then you don't want to just. It's kind of like with Askren Masvidal, right?
Yeah.
The game plan was going in there and wrestle. If Jack shows his hand too much, Edmen's going to solve it, right? So if he keeps it standing, he's going to lull him into a sleep and then kind of shoot for that takedown or catch a leg, because we know Edmen throws a lot of kicks.
Exactly.
Yeah, both great fighters.